Hello students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box? If you can see me and my voice is clear for you students, can I get a confirmation?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So students, thank you very much for doing the SWOT analysis. Now I have to be very transparent here that I am going to go through the entire case study once again from the beginning so that you will not have any confusions later. So students, it will be little bit time consuming, but it is worth for the time. Now students, strategic case study examination, November 2022, February 2023. So Hottayr, they have given a basic example of a heating system. Now this is like example, they say geyser. Now if you see in certain houses, especially in the Asian continent, they have something called geyser. Geyser means it will translate the cold water to hot water. It's a basic device. So if you observe, that is what they have given. So if you see, once again, as I clearly told you, they are not wanting you to write anything that is associated with the today's world. Example, in today's world, we have COVID emerging once again from China, but actually that's not relevant for us, because the reason is our main target should be what are the data given. But anything that is relevant, you can write it down for your understanding. Now, students, as I told you, now if you see the biggest challenge, if I'm not mistaken, if you observe students, is the explanation of scientific data. Now, if you observe students' management case study, and I can say operational case study, the data is mostly financial data, like statistics, everything. But here they are a little bit concerned about the scientific data also. I'll tell you the reason. Now, if you observe students in real life, in the strategic level, if you see now, example, let's assume you are working in the strategic level for SpaceX, which is Elon Musk company. So students, when you are working in SpaceX with Elon Musk, you need to at least know a basic idea of what work you are doing, so that the management will be comfortable with that. And similarly, students, if I'm not mistaken, even if you are working for someone like Apple, okay, Steve Jobs or Tim Cook or anyone you are working, you need to know about the scientific data as well. And don't worry, students, scientific data doesn't mean that you need to be a specialist of science, anything like that. So students, I'm going to go through this in detail. Now, introduction. If you see, Hottayr is a quoted company that manufactures domestic heating products. So once again, it's very clear it is a quoted company that manufactures. Understand it very clearly, students. Manufactures, that means they produce domestic heating product. Now, when it comes to manufacturing sector, the biggest challenge in manufacturing sector that we always know is pollution. Now you need to be having some awareness about pollution, students. And if you don't mind, I'll write down a small technical area that you can revise at the moment, that is known as IR stands for integrated reporting. Because students, I will guide you on this topic, don't worry, but please write these topics in a paper or something, because the reason is, students, integrated reporting has been tested in the examination for the last time and the previous time also. So have an understanding of this. And also, students, just make sure that we will complete this SWOT also, and domestic heating products. So it is very clear that they are targeting the domestic heating only. That means they are not at all targeting the corporate or the, I can say, industrial heating, because B2C, actually, in simple language, the product is effectively going to the consumer. But there can be B2B also, if I'm not mistaken. Instead of domestic heat, you can also make industrial heating system also. Industrial heating system is also possible in that aspect. Now, mainly gas boilers and air source heat pumps. So these are the two products that they are selling at the moment. One is the gas boilers and the other one is air source heat pumps. Observe it very clearly, students. Technical term is air source. That means these heat pumps generally consume air and then only create the heat. So students, it's air source heat pumps. Now, students, have you heard something called air quality? I think Mr. Keetheeswaran would have experienced in Sri Lanka. Recently, the air quality reduced. Can you remember, Mr. Keetheeswaran, if I'm not mistaken? So what happens is these heating pumps will generally take the air from the atmosphere. If the air is polluted, can there be a chance that the household also may get polluted air inside that? Just asking from Anushka, is that possible, Anushka? If the air quality, like
Yes,
in
sir.
Delhi, now example students during this December time, the Delhi area, all the air quality will be extremely pathetic because of the farmers burning their harvest, everything. So students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are able to understand these things? Can I get a confirmation, students? So what I will do is I'll just write it down, and I'm going to do a very strong spot. And I'll, in case if I miss something, please let me know. So I'll just write down here, quoted company is one thing. And if you observe, one of the weakness will be, do they have sustainability model? Do they have any sustainability model? That is a biggest challenge, if I'm not mistaken. Yes or no, students? Do they
Yes,
have
sir.
any sustainability
Sir,
model?
air pumps is a sustainable model, sir.
No, if you observe sustainable model in the sense, it is not their product. I'm telling their process. You understand what I'm saying?
The
Because
manufacturing process,
yeah,
sir.
the
Oh, okay.
manufacturing process, because that is also a very important part in the sustainability factor. And the next thing, I'll just write down within bracket manufacturing, because that is very, very critical, students, because they are just giving factory data only, but they have not given any specific data going in detail of this. And one more weakness I can only say is only two ranges of products portfolio, two ranges of product portfolio, only two ranges of product portfolio at the moment. So that is a dependency threat, I can generally say, only two ranges. So in that case they will have a bigger challenge also, if I'm not mistaken. Now if you see Honda, they have motorbikes, they have car, they have scooters, they have so many varieties. But if you look at a company like Volvo, they generally have bus and I can say car. You get the point, students. So get the understanding, they need to have more detailed aspect of that. So you are a senior manager in Hottayr's finance function. So I'll just underline this term. You are a senior manager, Hottayr's finance function. You report directly to the board and advise on special projects and strategic matters. So you advise on special projects and strategic matters. Now, students, since I think one student has gone through the case study material properly, they have revised the past papers also. You need to refer the past paper, students, at least one past paper minimum. One question and answer also, you will understand a huge thing. So students, if you see, you are whom? You are senior finance manager. Correct, no, students, if I'm not mistaken. You are no more finance manager, you are a senior finance manager. That means you are simply a group finance manager, I can specifically say. Now they have mentioned here, you need to observe the strategic matters. You need to provide solutions on strategic matters rather than accountancy matters. Correct, no, students? Now certain papers, you see, they mention accountancy, financial reporting, but in this, did they mention financial reporting or strategic matters, students? Very directly strategic matters. And students, observe it even more clearly, it will be even easier for you to understand. Now strategic matters, when you are doing, you need to always think in three dimensions. So this is a practice that will happen for you when doing the question. The three dimensions are short term impact, because whatever happens, there will be a short term impact. And then students, after the short term impact, then there will be something called the medium term impact. The medium term impact. The medium term impact. And the final one is going to be the long term impact. Long term impact. Now, now if you see, Anushka, example in this practical perspective, the Ukraine-Russia war. Now, Putin has agreed on the war, always considering the long-term impact. Correct, no,
Yes, sir.
Anushka? Now, Can you remember, students, when the Ukraine-Russia war started, there were sanctions, everything taking place. Visa said they will not be making the transaction happens. MasterCard said no, and McDonald's, big chains all went out of the country. But in the medium term, slowly, people understood that Russia is very powerful. You need to just let them go. And effectively, long-term impact, I can say they are effectively winning the battle, right? So can I get the understanding, if you are clear with the students? That means when you are thinking a problem, you need to always think in three aspects. You should never think on the short-term aspect. The biggest problem with the humans' minds are, we always think on the reptilian memory. Immediately we take decision by thinking on the short-term impact only. So students, can I quickly get a confirmation in the chat box if you understood the strategic matters, if you are clear with that? Because it's very important, students, very different also, very important as well. Okay, now students, moving forward. Now, if you observe, Hottayr is based on Nolan, a developed country that has an active and well-regulated stock exchange. Nolan's currency is in dollars. Nolan requires companies to prepare financial statements in IFRS. So students, I'll just write down in simple language, one opportunity is Nolan, a developed country. Nolan, a developed country. Nolan, a developed country. Now, one threat in a developed country is more compliances and regulation. Noland may have more compliances and regulations. Now, if you see here, Anushka, a country like India, there is no regulations or compliances. Correct, no, Anushka, if
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not mistaken. But
Correct,
the
sir.
downside risk of a developed country is more compliance and regulation. So if you don't mind, students, can you make a note about that? Because a developed country, the biggest challenge in a developed country is more compliances and regulations as well, because it is the truth actually. Even if you ask from Priscilla, she may be very clear that in the UK, the regulations are very high and it's not easy also, if I'm not mistaken, Priscilla. Correct?
That's correct, sir.
So students, that's the downside risk of a developed nation, because actually it's not so attractive for a business. Now, domestic central heating system. Now, students understand it very clearly. This is the industry analysis. Now, unfortunately, many students think industry analysis means you need to do real life industry analysis. No, you need to analyze the data given specifically on the industry factor. Domestic central heating system. Now, students, central heating system, understand it very clearly. Now, if you see, Anushka, in certain auditoriums in India, you will be observing they have this air condition which will be attached to the ceiling. Have you observed that, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
So that is only centralized air conditions.
Air
That means you just control the temperature by one controlling system. Now here the logic is same, but instead of giving cold air, it is going to give you warm air. Students, are you understanding the linkage between an AC and a heating system? Can I quickly get a confirmation from you all? Especially the Asian students, make sure you understand the way of thinking, because it's the same logic of an AC, but here it is going application based. Now I'm going to the next one. Heating systems are necessary to keep the room at comfortable temperature and to prevent dampness. Dampness means, students, it will become extreme cold and moisture will be taking place. That means the flow, everything will be wet. Like example, Anushka, have you observed during the extreme rainy time, when it is very rainy, you will be seeing the windows all will have the mist, everything. That is only
Yes,
known
sir.
as the dampness caused by condensation. That means excess control of the air. Most dwellings means houses, students. See how they are complicating the language. Now, dwelling in simple languages, houses, apartment, all those things. In countries that have cold weather, for a significant part of year have central heating system. These use a central heat source, such as a boiler or a heat pump, to heat water and then pumped around the dwelling in order to heat each room. Now, I will explain this idea very clearly. Now, Anushka, have you heard a scientific knowledge called water cycle? Anushka, scientific knowledge called water cycle. Have you heard about that?
Yes, sir.
So water cycle, what happens is, students, the rain takes place, correct? Now let's assume this is the cloud. The rain flows, correct? No? So
Yes,
what
sir.
happens is the rain flows into the earth, and from the earth, the water goes to the sea, correct? No? If I'm not mistaken. And from the sea, there will be sunlight, if I'm not mistaken. Agree? And this sunlight will take in the form of, I can say, air. That is the vapor, they say, water vapor, they say, the vapor, and then it will continue. So in simple language, students, the water heating system is following the same idea of the water cycle. Students, can I quickly get a confirmation from you all in the chat box? It's a replication of the water cycle scientific theory, very directly like the water cycle. It's just heating and taking that mystery. Now, students, coming to the traditional combustion based boilers. Now, the verb itself is traditional. So, when you see the term traditional, if you have gone through the preceding material, the biggest risk these things are facing is there is updates of new technology. Correct, no more, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes,
Updates
sir.
of new technology.
Technology.
So, there are new technology that is coming to the market, so there is updates of new technology also. Gas boilers are popular in countries that have main gas, usually natural gas, piped to individual dwellings, that is houses. Now, if you see, I'll give you the logic also so that it will be very clear. Now, in Asian countries, we have something called pipe borne water. That means, Anushka, in houses, you directly have water connection. Have you observed that, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
That means when you can take water directly inside your house, because there is a central where the drinking water comes through the pipe.
Pipe.
So in developed countries, like the water coming through the pipes, they have special gas pipes which gas comes to the houses. Because if you see, in Asian countries, we only use gas for cooking, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes,
But
sir.
in the Western countries, or in the countries which is effectively facing cold weather, they use gas for the heating purpose also. So get that point of view. If you have gone to countries like Nepal or Shimla or these cold places, you will see, Anushka, they will be using a small gas cylinder, and in that gas cylinder they will be generating heat. Like
Yes,
if you
sir.
see Shimla, everything, the facilities are not so much, so they just take the gas cylinder and they do it. But if you go to countries like Russia, Ukraine, and even if you see countries like UK, the Western countries and the American countries, they do have this. Gas is an efficient fuel that is used to power central heating boilers for cooking and to heat water for bathing and cleaning. So generally, these are the main purpose of this. But gas powered boilers is connected to a house. Instead of dwelling, I'll just transform this to house. Gas and cold water supplies. The boiler heats water by burning the gas. So understand it clearly. Water is also there in the house, like in Asian houses. Plus, they have the gas also. So the gas boils the cold water, and what happens? The heat comes from the burning gas. Are you understanding, students, the process? It's the same idea of heating. The hot water is then either pumped around the dwelling to heat radiators, and it can be used at hot water for baths, shower, and also washing. Most countries impose strict regulations. So students understand it very clearly. It is mentioned most countries strict regulation. So when you see this term strict regulation, I can specifically say this is something called complexity. Students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box? It is something called complexity. Can you remember in the last class we were learning about the business ecosystem, if I'm not mistaken, students? Complexity means how government gets involved in certain industries. Complexity to ensure the safety of gas boilers. The boilers themselves must meet safety standard, and they must be installed and maintained by qualified plumbers to ensure there has been no gas leak. Now, students, here I am going to connect this sentence of this. Actually, as per our track record, do we have any gas leaks under the track record at the moment? Do we have any gas leaks till
No,
date?
sir.
No. But can there be a gas leak coming because of qualified, unqualified plumbers, because generally market will always get shifted, right? There can be
Yes, sir.
situation that qualified plumbers, and then there can be a gas leak coming forward, students. So if you do not mind, students, can that be a sensitive issue or not a sensitive issue? What do you think, Anushka?
It's a
Gas leak
sensitive issue, sir.
is a
The
sensitive issue.
entire house can blast as well.
Correct. So gas leak due to poor industry standards. Gas leak due to poor industry standards. And one more thing, students, I just want to say, now I told you a developed country have more regulation, everything. So I'll write down here, heating industry is highly regulated, that means everyone can't start this business. If you want to start this business, you need to have a very strong, I can say, standard compliance. Now coming to the next one, students, domestic gas boilers are generally designed to have relatively little need for controls that requires user to make any adjustments once they have been installed and switched on. So the main reason is it is centralized, so no need to work so much hard. So you can easily adjust it, not an issue at all. Consumers must buy separate controllers that combine thermostats, clocks to manage heat output, and the availability of hot water. Now, my question to the classroom, are we selling separate controllers at the moment, or are we selling only this boiler?
Only the boilers.
So students, can I ask you a question? Can there be a merger and acquisition where we are effectively buying a separate controller? Possible or not possible? Possible,
Possible,
right?
sir.
So can I write down merger and acquisition of a controller? And students, have you heard about something called IoT? What is IoT, students? Internet of Things.
Things.
That means you use the Bluetooth technology and the Wi-Fi technology to connect devices and integrate devices. Correct? No, Anushka, if I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
mistaken. So Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Now, students, can there be a situation there can be controllers which can be downloaded by an app? Possible or not possible, students? Yes or no? Of course, right? You can
Possible.
control it from your mobile phone also. So students, if you do not mind, can I write it down so that it will be very clear for you all? So one opportunity is we can acquire a heat control company, and also we can develop our own heat controller. Can you remember, Monica, there was a case study called Frinta? I think you did that, right? Management case study, your one was Frinta?
Yes, sir. Mine was
Yeah.
Frinta, sir.
In Frinta, they produce what? Heat
Controller, sir.
controller. But they don't produce the heat. Are you now clear no? Of
Yes,
those?
sir.
So super. Were you able to integrate this point in your initial reading?
Yes, sir, I did, sir. I wrote how we could start our own, like instead of acquisition, I wrote how we could start our
Super.
own.
Internet of Things, everything came right into the mind.
Yes.
Good. Thermostats can vary in a sophisticated from basic mechanical devices to electronical devices that can be operated by smartphones also. So they are telling that possibility is there. So just understand it clearly. Now let's come to the next one. Gas boilers can be powered using liquid petroleum gas, that is LPG, okay, that is stored outdoor in a tank and piped into the dwelling. Again, house. Students, how it is confusing the mind, as required. The tank is replenished by a tanker vehicle. So a tanker vehicle comes and fills it. And I think once again, have you seen Anushka, in Asian countries, a water vehicle will come? Have you observed that,
Yes,
Anushka?
sir.
So similar to that, only students here, gas vehicle will come. The LPG gas vehicle will come and they will fill it. So get the visuals also very clearly, students. They will come and they will fill it. Now, again, I want to ask a question from the students. Is this a complicated process? Yes or no, Anushka? This process is complicated or a very simple process? Very complicated. Correct?
Complicated, sir. Yes,
Very
sir.
complicated. And I want to ask a question, students. Now, this is kept outside, right? So there can be risk also. Example, Anushka, let's assume someone smokes. Okay, someone
Yes.
smokes and just put a cigarette by mistake from somewhere, and there are chance this can burst.
Burst.
Possible or
Yes,
not
sir.
possible? In that
Possible.
case, are we liable or someone who is liable in that case? Now something happens like that. A very strategic question.
Yeah. First they'll blame us, sir. Definitely.
So students, if you don't mind, can I write down, if I'm not mistaken, third party accidents. Third party accidents can happen to the gas boiler outside the house. Students, this is a very different case study. I believe many people are having an eye-opening session today. You're getting that thinking very clearly. Some houses, I am always transitioning the dwelling into houses, use oil-fired boiler. Okay. Those require a similar arrangement to LPG system with tank containing heating oil located in the garden, and an oil burning boiler used to heat water in the kitchen. Now students, sorry students, there was a technical issue from my side. Um, Anushka, can you tell
Yes,
me,
sir.
Anushka, where was the area I was stopping, if you don't mind?
That burning, so like oil burning boilers you were
Oil
explaining.
burning
Burning.
boilers.
Yes,
So
sir.
oil burning means that is diesel and what? Petrol. Are you understanding, students? Because these are the major oil that is used. Are you clear? So students understand it very clearly. It is relating to this also. So students, can I ask one question from you? Is this industry has an economic threat? Factor cost. Economic threat. Example of economic threat can be prices of gas, oil effect to the usage. Can that be having an economic threat? Possible or not possible, students? Yes or no? Can I get a confirmation? Anushka, do you understand that point of view?
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, economic threat of gas, oil, and in that only we need to think about these basic alternatives what we need to consider. Now, students, moving forward, the other one, wood burning stoves. I think you can see the picture. Here the wood burning stove is there. Okay. Can be used to heat source for central heating. Householders burn logs that provide radiant heat within the room. Pipes at the back of the stove heat water that is then used to heat other rooms in the same manner for as gas and oil burning boiler. But the issue is it's a little bit complicated and a slow process. So I'll write down here slow and complicated. Slow and complicated. You need logs also. So for village areas, I think that will be fine. But I don't think it will be more suited for a city area. Correct, no students, if I'm not mistaken. The wood that are burned in the wood burning stove is a renewable energy. Oh, that's a good point. So wood burning stove is a renewable energy, making the more environmentally friendly than gas and oil power. Nevertheless, all heat sources that rely on combustion release carbon to the atmosphere. Carbon emission is there by all things. So can I write down one thing, if I'm not mistaken, students? One opportunity we have is wood burning stoves with some technical updates. We can have some technical updates to ensure, I can specifically write down here, to ensure a renewable energy process. Renewable energy process. Students, are you clear with that point of view, students? Can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you got that point? So that is one opportunity. Actually, we can target this also. We can make sure this as a promoted as a integrated reporting, CSR activities, something like that, and we can effectively go forward also. So that is one factor. Now students coming forward, so going to the next one.
Sir, I didn't understand. Could you explain it?
Yeah, now if you observe, they are very clear that wood burning stoves are renewable energy.
Yes, sir.
Gas is not a renewable energy. Gas is a thermal energy. Thermal energy means once you use it, you can't use it again.
Use it again.
Like petrol, once only you can use.
Okay.
But here they are saying wood burning stoves are renewable energy. But are we having wood burning stoves at the moment in our portfolio?
No,
So
sir.
can this be again another opportunity for us to go forward
Yes,
in the
sir.
business?
Yes.
And also this can be a marketing tool also, where we can attract many people saying that we are having renewable energy source rather than a thermal energy source. Are you
Yes,
understanding
sir.
that?
Yes, sir.
Students, can I quickly get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you understood that basic point of view of these things? So frankly speaking, until now, I can say industry is a complicated industry, not easy industry, very tough and highly regulated industry. Distributing heat around the homes, how it works out. Now only they are using the term homes. Okay. A network of pipes made from either copper or plastic carries hot water from the boiler to each room in the dwelling that is to be heated. So in simple language, students, it is having a fully heat resisted, I can say, system where the pipes are carrying the water for the heat, because the water is only getting evaporated and giving the heat. Most popular method of heating a room is to install one or more radiators. Radiators are metal pipes that are designed to transfer heat from hot water that flows through them in surrounding air. Now, my question once again, do we produce radiators in our company? Do we
No, sir.
produce these radiators? No, right? So students, can I write down? No, we don't produce radiators. Can there be a situation, Anushka, our product is wonderful, but the radiator is horrible? They are not getting sufficient heat. Can there
Heat.
be a situation like
Yes,
that?
sir.
Of course,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So students,
Yes,
if you
sir.
don't mind, can I write down one more point if I'm not mistaken? Problems caused by the radiator. Students, are you understanding what I'm saying? Affecting the reputation of, I can generally say, Hottayr. Students, look at the way it is going forward. Can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box how it is also done? And one more opportunity we can have is production of radiators. Or another thing is, can we have a JV, a joint venture with a good radiator? So these
Yes,
are
sir.
one more thing. So we don't produce controllers, we don't also produce the radiators also. So there are situations these things can happen as well. Now moving into the detailed aspects, that release heat energy warms the room, cooling the hot water into the process. The water carries on through the pipes to the next radiator where further heat is released. So students understand it very clearly. The pipes are like this. Inside the pipes, there is a radiator. This will boil the water, and then again there will be another radiator in the room. It will boil the water. Example, in simple language, in Asian houses, I'll come to Asian example. Let's assume, Anushka, you have a house, living room, okay,
Yes,
two
sir.
bedrooms, okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, this pipes is wire. Every room will have a wire for transferring electricity. Yes or no?
Yes,
Wire
sir.
is essential, no students. So wire is like the pump. And then if you observe, in every room there will be a fan, correct? No,
Yes,
that
sir.
fan, there will be a radiator. Have you observed that? That is the regulator, we say, which
Yes,
will
sir.
increase the, that is the controller. So in that fan, in the top, students, you will be finding like a rectangle thing. So that is the thing that is giving the energy to the fan to rotate. So students, this is the same ideology, but the main problem is this happens. Now example, Anushka, you're producing a super AC. Your house is having a wonderful AC, okay, LG.
Yes,
But
sir.
the switches are horrible. The wiring system is horrible. Can the AC work properly?
No, sir.
Practically, no, right? So this is a connected industry, students. Keep that in mind. So coming to the next one. Central heating systems are designed to ensure that every room is heated to a satisfactory extent. Boilers come in different capacities, with more powerful boilers producing more hot waters, which enable them to provide heat across larger houses. Larger radiators release more heat energy, so there can be heat larger airs. Larger room requires larger radiator and perhaps multiple radiators. So the problem is, bigger the house, bigger the carbon emission. What do you think, students? Yes or no? Bigger the house, higher the carbon emission. Do you agree with me, Anushka? Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir. Yes, sir.
So students understand it very clearly. Bigger the house, higher the carbon emission. I believe everyone is getting the understanding very, very clearly, students. Bigger the house, higher the carbon emission. And radiators are usually fitted on the thermostat, as I told you, that is the controller. This can be used to regulate the amount of heat that is released into any given room, so prevent uncomfortably high temperatures as well. So students, that is the effective application of this. So I'm going down. So students, these are the pipes. I believe you can see this. This gives the heat. Example, Anushka, in your house, have you opened your oven? Have you seen an oven,
Yes,
Anushka?
sir.
Inside the oven, have you seen these items? Have you
Yes, sir.
seen?
I have seen, sir.
This is only known as the I can say the regulators. Students, can I get a confirmation from you? If you just if you have an oven in your house, you observe how oven gets the heat. The oven has the same devices. Get it very, very clearly, students. Technological analysis. Now students, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going for the underflow. Heating is an alternative to radiators. Hot waters from the boilers are piped into the room to room. Plastic pipes are set into concrete floor in a zigzag design to enable heat to be released, creating an even heat across the whole room and avoiding the need to install radiators on walls of the rooms. The pipes are embedded in the floor, so they cannot be seen and they can be walked across without causing any damage. The floor can be covered with conventional floor covering, although carpet tends to be insulators and so to reduce the heat effect. Now, one thing I am observing, Anushka, and even I think I can say Reshma also can observe, these facilities are only applicable for very rich people. What do you think, Anushka? In
Yes, sir.
practical thing, do you think every houses will have the affordability to go to these ranges of technological heating system? Frankly, I
No,
don't
sir.
think so. Like, no, right? Now, even if you speak to Reshma will understand in Doha, only villas will have these type of facilities. Basic houses or apartments may not come to this level. And Priscilla, is it confirmed? Can I get a confirmation from you, Priscilla, that I don't think everyone will have the affordability to go for this type of systems, right? Even in the
Um,
UK.
the underfloor one,
Yeah.
usually council flats have those. So the less, the I would say um the poorer side. I wouldn't say poorer side, but those that are on council.
The, correct. So,
Yeah.
Priscilla, my question is, if you are going to start up a private venture, I don't think you may have the money to bear all these things, right? What do you think,
No,
Priscilla?
that's correct.
Practically difficult. Students understand it very clearly. One thing I observed was it's very difficult also. But the good thing of this is what I can tell you is customers will not switch to another party easily. What do you think, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Anushka just think they have built the house, and inside the house they have put all these things. Do you think when the price reduces, they will go for thermite again, remove the
No,
house,
sir.
remove the switching cost? So students, can I write down a good point of view? The switching cost is very high. Customers are locked in. Agree or not agree, students? Yes or no? Because switching cost is a bigger thing. So I can understand one practical point of view. Your real customers are not your households. Who is your real customers, Anushka, in this case? Do you think who is your real customer?
Builders, sir.
Builders, right? Because I'm asking Anushka, if you are going to build your own house, will you have an idea about all these things, Anushka, or you will
No,
just
sir.
go forward with whatever the builders are recommending, right? So
Yes,
students,
sir.
can I write down a very, very important point of view? Stakeholder management. Can I write it down if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, sir.
So stakeholder management, yeah.
I have one doubt, sir. So switching cost, like it is difficult to switch radiators, but they can switch the heater. I mean, like we manufacture the heatings, right? That can be switched, no, sir.
The problem is, if you see, it will be a bigger challenge. The reason is if you switch the heater, the resistance of the heat will be another problem. No, Anushka, you are correct also, because ACs you can switch easily. Correct, no, Anushka? Now
Oh, yes,
you have
sir.
a AC in your house, you can change an AC to another AC. But if you see, these are very sensitive, right? If I'm not mistaken, and during the cold winter time, you need to have this for sure. If I'm not mistaken, agree, no,
Yes,
Anushka?
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
in that case, my personal point of view is it is very challenging. You are correct, but it will very challenging, very
Oh,
challenging.
okay,
Like
sir.
you are saying, because you are thinking of the radiators only, but there needs to be an engineer coming again. Correct, no, Anushka? If I'm
Yes, sir.
and he should make sure the things are done. And remember one thing, this is not India. Everyone cannot be an engineer. You need to call the right person to come
Yes,
and do
sir.
the engineering work.
Yes.
So understand it very, very clearly, students. So are you understanding that point of view? So stakeholder managers is very, very important. The builders, the engineers, and I can generally say they play the critical role in our industry. If you have a very poor relationship with the builders, engineers, or anyone, frankly, your sales will effectively get affected. Definitely, it will get affected. And that is the biggest thing I can generally say. So I'll just write down another point of view, if I'm not mistaken. Another, I can say another, I can be very practical in this case is generally, since the process of heating facilities are complicated, the customer rarely switches. I will give you a very, very Asian example. Now, Anushka, have you observed bathware in houses? Like bathware, the tub, the
Yes,
comfort.
sir.
Do you think people easily switch that, or they keep it for a long time, right? If I'm not
Yes, sir.
mistaken, costly also, very
Yes, sir.
expensive also. So that is the understanding. So students, and one more thing, if I'm not mistaken, I'll just write down another, I can say another thing is the stakeholder management is very important. It's very important because they recommend the products. Now, Anushka, in simple language, cement, you are building your house. The cement, I am 100% sure 70% of the consumers don't know cement. Correct, no,
Yes,
Anushka?
sir. Yes, sir.
So again, cement industry, all this goes with the builders only.
Yes.
So students, we are effectively done with the, I can say, the heat boilers. I'm going to go for the heat pump. Are you okay with the heat boilers, if I'm not mistaken? Can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box?
Yes, sir.
We are fine. Students, I want to do a small summary. If you don't mind, can I work out a summary? So I'm going to write down here product decoding, because you need to know a little bit of the product information. So can I write down here product decoding. So we can do a small product decoding. It will help you to think a lot. It will help you to think a lot. That's the very, very important product decoding. So I'm going to go with the first product decoding. What we are going to do is, if I'm not mistaken, the gas boilers, correct? No, the
Yes,
gas
sir.
boilers. Now students understand it very clearly. Gas boilers, if you observe, gas is the source of energy, but we have alternatives for gas boilers, that is oil boilers. Agree, no students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Alternative for gas boilers is oil boilers. So students, I'll write down here another term for alternative is oil boilers. So students, can I mention here oil boilers? Can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box, students, if you are clear with that point of view of the oil boilers? Excellent. And students, one thing I told, economic risk is affecting these main things. Gas and oil is not produced in our country, Nolan. Correct, no, Anushka? We don't have energy sources as per
Yes,
the
sir.
information given. So understand it clearly, high emitting it is. So students, what I will definitely do now is I will just make sure a diagrammatic explanation. Now, let's assume this is a gas boiler. Okay, Anushka. So
Yes,
it will be
sir.
very easy, no students, a mind map. So this is a gas boiler. So I'm just doing a narration so that it is very clear for the students. Now this gas boiler, and what I will do, excuse my drawing, I'm going to draw a house. Okay. So this is my house. Students, are you clear with this, Anushka? So
Yes,
this
sir.
is the house. So students, gas boiler is located outside the house. So what happens is, students, in simple language, it is connected through pipes. Correct, no students, if I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
mistaken. So the pipes are underground generally from the outside the house. So what happens is gas comes through these pipes. Okay. And like our water and drainage, basically that is the idea. And the pipes are circulated around the houses. So what I will do, I'll just put a diagram like this. This pipe is circulated around the houses. So in which water also goes. Correct, no, Anushka? Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir.
Because gas is the heating power, but in this water is also there, students, because water and gas together only gives the
Heat.
evaporation. Yeah. So students, if I'm not mistaken, I will just write this also so that it is very clear. I'll just make a blue color sketch so that it is very clear. So it is the gas and it is the water also. Water also. And just, so the water. So this is the water source. Now students, understand it very clearly. Now there needs to have a regulator. Okay. There needs to be a regulator. Regulator is the device that will segregate water and heat, balance and generate heat capacity. It is the energy developer. Water will be there, gas will be flowing, but this device will control it. And every house will have a thermostat. Students, this is the, I can say, the controller. This is what, students? Controller.
Controller.
So this is how the process works and the heat energy is developed. Now, if you observe, our company only produces what? Only produces
Gas boilers.
gas boilers. We only produce gas boilers. And if you observe in this case, if you see, this is independent, correct? This
Yes,
is
sir.
independent. And even the controllers are independent.
Independent.
Students who have done MCS, this is only Frinta. So this is thermostat. So this was the case study that you did earlier. This is thermostat. And again, these are independent students. Students, and another best way is, if I'm not mistaken, is something called was wood burning stoves. So students, I'll just write down in the corner, wood burning stove also does the same thing, but instead of water, what they use? Instead of
Wood.
water, wood. Sorry, water will be there. Sorry,
I mean,
instead
gas.
of gas, wood will be used. So I'll write down here wood burning stove. Students, are you understanding the application? Can I get a confirmation from your students. Are you understanding how it works out? So it's a very, very important thing, students. Very, very important thing. Now I'll ask you one question, very practical question. Since I'm from Sri Lanka, I can think very much crisis oriented. So Anushka, gas boilers are available in the market, but there are no pipes in the market. What will happen? Sales will increase or reduce?
Reduce, sir.
Reduce. Gas boiler is there in the market, no controllers in the market. Effectively, again, sales will reduce. Yes or
Yes,
no,
sir.
student?
Yes, sir.
So what is this risk known as? Anyone, can you tell me what is this risk known as? This is a risk that we faced in Sri Lanka. We had gas, we had a kitchen, but no gas. I think Keith Iswaran would have experienced that very much. So students, I believe everyone got that understanding very clearly in this. So what is that risk known as, students? You have the main product, but you don't have the sub product. So if I'm not mistaken, students, can I write down the risk is complementary product risk? Agree, no, students, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
sir.
So I'll write down here complementary product risk. We are exposed to this risk by any chance. Anushka, did you think about complementary product risk?
No, sir.
No, right?
No,
Students,
sir.
think about it very clearly. This is something that we have to keep in mind. So the best way to go forward is we have to integrate all our players together. So children, can I go to the heat pumps if you are fine with the explanation of the product decoding
Yes.
summary? Yeah, excellent. So heat pumps. Students, I'm going is very slow pace. The reason is it's helping you to think very clearly. Now coming to the heat pumps. Now students, again, understand it very clearly. Heat pumps capture heat energy from a source and release it elsewhere. Now, can you remember our company is, the source is what? The source of heat energy is what? Yeah.
Air.
But in heat pumps here, they are saying from a source. So it can be anywhere. You understand what I'm saying, Anushka? That
Yes,
can
sir.
be a gas also. It can be gas also, correct? Gas powered heat pumps, possible. There
Yes.
can be oil powered heat pumps. So can I just make sure that is also clear for the students? If they are just mentioned here, so there can be a source like oil and gas powered, I can say a source can be also there, if I'm not mistaken. The source may be cooler than the destination. There are several different applications of this technology. Now they are teaching how this technology works out. So it will give you the understanding how it is done. Refrigerators and freezers use heat pumps to capture heat energy from interior appliance and move it to the exterior. Doing so, the temperature inside the appliance and so help to keep the food fresh and chilled. If the heat pumps was switched off, then the higher temperature in the room will lead the heat energy flowing back into the cooler interior and refrigerator until the room temperature. Now, Anushka, if you generally observe a fridge in your house, if you observe the backside of the fridge, there will be like a small circle, a gas thing that is known as a refrigerant, they say. Okay, that has poisonous air inside that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That is the source of energy, students, that generally manages when you put the switch on, it becomes heat and it supplies to that. But the problem is it is poisonous. Students, you can just check your refrigerator, you will understand it very, very clearly. Now, students, moving to the next one, air conditioners use the same principle to take heat energy from room that is uncomfortable warm and then release the energy outside. Now, Anushka, again, if you generally see the AC that is there, have you seen, Anushka, behind the room, there will be a small, I can say, a pump type of device, right?
Yes,
A
sir.
fan
Yes, sir.
that generally takes not the air, that generally generates the pressure. You understand what I'm
Yes,
saying,
sir.
Anushka?
Yes, sir.
And from that it goes. And have you observed AC will be leaking water? Have you observed that, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
That is capturing the moisture and it is taking out. The room cooler in the comfortable operation. Heat pumps can be used to capture heat energy that can be used in central heating system. Heat energy is captured from outside a building and released inside to make the interior warmer. Now, the problem I told you is when you are going to capture heat from the outside, what about the air quality? You understand what I'm saying, Anushka? There is a
Yes, sir.
technical risk. If the air quality is a good air quality, like in the UK, everything, then that's completely fine. But still in the UK also, you have industrial areas where the air quality may not be the same as the village areas also. So students, that is the heat pump, and heat pumps do not create heat energy. They simply move it from one place to what? Another. You understand what I'm saying? They just capture and transferring only. But if you observe the other one, what happens was it boils and create the energy. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The technology required to create an effective heat pumps relies on number of physical laws illustrated below in the diagram. So these are the physical laws illustrated in the diagram. I will guide you also in this. Now students, this is an interior function of this, how it works out. They are given 1, 2, 3, 4 order. So I'll just guide you with that. Now students, number 1, the refrigerant evaporates, which captures the heat energy from the outside air. So students, what happens? It generally evaporates and capture the heat energy. Now students, heat is red color. You understand what I'm saying, students? Do you see the red color? That is the heat energy. So it takes the heat energy from the outside. Compressor, the gas from the evaporated compressed, which increases the temperature. So inside this, it is compressed. Now example, Anushka, compressed means if you blow a balloon very hard, it will burst. Correct, no, Anushka?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. So compress means, students, how you hold it tightly. Example of a compression situation I can generally say is example, students, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. When you shake the bottle, it becomes compressed. Correct, no, Anushka? And
Yes, sir.
when you open the Pepsi bottle, have you seen there will be an excess level of energy coming out? Correct, no, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
So that is the compressed pressure. That is potential energy. They call it condenser. The refrigerant cools and release the heat energy. So in this case, it releases the heat energy. It takes it and release it. And expansion well, the pressure on the refrigerant gas decreases, lowering the temperature still further, condensing back to the liquid. So students, the biggest challenge in this process is it possible to capture heat energy in winter? Is it possible to capture heat energy in winter? Are you understanding what I'm saying there, students? Are you getting the point of view? Is it possible to capture heat energy in the winter? Are
Yes,
you
sir.
understanding the biggest challenge that we are having? So students get that point of view, because extreme cold, I don't think it will be possible. Students, can I get a confirmation from you? So this is just the normal process, students, of how the transference of air takes place from one end to another end, from one end to another end. A basic example, students, if you observe, if you have a clay pot, you pour water into the clay pot, the water will become cool. Correct or not correct, Anushka? Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir.
The reason why it is becoming cool is it is getting compressed in an environment which is cool. You understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
that is that basic idea here. So students, can I quickly get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are getting some basic point of how the process works out, students? Thank you. Thank you.
So, could you just explain how evaporator works, sir? The
Okay.
first one.
So the evaporator, now what happens is, I'll just guide you very simply. Now, if you see, Anushka, let's assume you have drinking water. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Water is liquid. Correct or not correct? Yes
Yes,
or no?
sir. Yes.
If you put water into the ice or freezer, okay, you put the water into the freezer, what will happen?
It will freeze
And it
solid.
becomes an ice cube. Correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
And ice cube, what happens is, students, it ends up as solid. Agree?
Yes,
And
sir.
then again you take out from the refrigerator, okay, it again becomes water. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Now the same water, if you heat it, it ends up as what?
Vapor.
Gas or vapor. And this vapor, have you observed, Anushka, when people become sick, they will tell, why don't you, if I'm not steaming, they say, Anushka.
Yes, sir.
They steaming everything, again, water is used and heat is converted. And you observe students, you would have definitely steam when you have blocked nose or heading like that. So what happens is the gas vapor comes. So evaporation is the transition, understand it very clearly. It takes the heat, okay? It takes the gas, that is the air, which is in the normal atmosphere, okay? And what happens is the evaporator stores the air. Let's assume something nitrogen, let's assume, okay? Or something like oxygen. It stores it. And what happens is the air is inside this. And if you want to give heat air, this air needs to get a heat energy. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
sir.
hot air comes outside. Another example, Anushka, I can give you is hair dryers. Have you used hair dryers by any
Yes,
chance?
sir.
Now, hair dryers, if you generally observe, are you getting cold air or hot airs in the hair
Hot,
dryer?
hot
Air.
hair.
How does hot air comes in the hair dryer? The same thing. The hair dryer captures the air which is outside, and the motor heats the air and give it to you the hot heat. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Look at the motorbike. Let's assume you are having a scooter. Petrol is liquid, correct? No? And
Yes, sir.
and the petrol, what happens is it goes to the engine, and when it is burning, it comes out as what? Heat.
Heat.
Are you understanding what I'm
Yes,
saying,
sir.
Rishka? So what evaporator does is it effectively collects the heat energy.
Heat.
Are you clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Students, any questions you have, you can ask me, but just remember the water example, basic knowledge only, students. Okay. Now, heat pumps relies on volatile liquid called refrigerants. It's poisonous. So students understand it very clearly. Heat pumps is having refrigerant because a refrigerant is there in an AC or a refrigerator, because refrigerant is generally a poisonous gas, and this poisonous gas is the, I can say, the source of conversion. Are you understanding what I'm saying? This converts the normal gas into cold, or I can say heat, which is trapped inside a pipe. The refrigerant is pumped round the pipe in a continuous cycle. The evaporator is a section of the pipe that has been twisted into a coil or a zigzag shape to increase the area. It is used to capture the heat energy. Students, observe it very clearly. Do you see here, if I'm not mistaken, the zigzag area? Do you see this, students? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that effectively captures the heat energy, they are saying. Okay. And they are saying the heat pump generally use hydrofluorocarbons as refrigerants. These boil at a very low temperature, sometimes at -20 degrees. So it can go to -20 degrees also. You understand, students? So students, this is the maximum capacity. When liquid boils, they evaporate into what? They evaporate into what? Gas. Can you remember the water example I told you? Which captures the heat. The refrigerant is warmer, then it leaves the evaporator and then it is entered. So it is a model that is exercising the process of conversion. The compressor increases the pressure of the gas. That means it is controlling, it is blocking the gas, which further increases the temperature. The refrigerant is now hot enough to be useful as a heat source. So students, understand it very clearly. This compressor, what happens is it will store all the gas and it will heat it as much as possible. And then students, they're telling the condenser is a further coil or a zigzag pipeline, allows the refrigerant gas to cool, so release its heat energy. In central heating system, the condenser is used to heat water and this can be pumped to hot water tanks for washing radiators, underflow heating. So once again, this is condenser. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Anushka? This one is condenser. Okay. So this generally makes sure the water or the heat is slowly taken out. And then they're saying the expansion valve reduces pressure on refrigerant gas. Decreasing pressure cools the gas, which releases still more heat. The refrigerant can be returned to the evaporator. So it is a cycle. It is a cycle. Students, can I get a confirmation in the chat box if you just understood how it works out? But remember the four major things: evaporator, compressor, condenser, and the final one is the expansion valve. The expansion valve, this is the controlling of the condensed items. So students, there is a constant flow of refrigerant through heat pumps. There is a constant cycle of heat being captured and released. The flow is driven by electrical pumps. Heat pumps also contains variety of sensors that can be used to optimize the operation of the device. Valves and other components within the heat pumps can be controlled by electronic connected sensors to improve the heat output or the reduce electricity consumption. Now, one more thing, Anushka, do we have electrically connected sensors? Do we produce that or only the heat pumps? Do
Only
we
the heat
produce?
pumps.
So again, students, I'll write down here components for heat management not yet produced. That is one more factor, students. Just understand it very, very well. Now, students, heat pump in the central heating system. So before going to that, students, what I wanted to do is I will just do a small analysis of, in simple language, I'll do a small analysis of the heat pump. So I'm going to write down heat pump here. So let's start doing a small analysis. So I'll mention here heat pump. Students, can I get a confirmation if you can see the screen? Heat pump.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So students, again, understand for heat pump, you need not have a boiler outside or anything. Okay. It is similar to what? AC. Correct? It is similar to AC. And what happens is instead of cold air, it gives you what air, students? Hot air. Are you understanding the logical idea, students? Are you clear with that? So
Yes,
heat
sir.
pumps in simple language is a AC, but it is giving you a hot air. It is giving you a hot air. Now I'll tell you the logical application. Anushka, in certain cars, you may have the cold function and the heat function. Have you observed that?
Yes,
Cold
sir.
and the heat functions will be there in cars. So students, this is the technology that they use even in cars also. But the biggest challenge in this is, although they generally say it captures the energy from the normal air, the biggest challenge is it has something called refrigerants. So students, can I write down that, students? Refrigerants, and I'll write down here hydrofluorocarbon, which is a poisonous substance, and it can cause environmental issues if they are released to the I can say atmosphere. So can I get a confirmation from you all, students, if you understood that? But just remember the idea very clearly. Heat pump is very similar to AC. That is the final idea. And just to make sure it is very even easier, zigzag is evaporator. Agree, no, students?
Yes, sir.
One zigzag is evaporator, and the other side zigzag is, if I'm not mistaken, is the condenser. Correct, no, students? Sorry,
Yes, sir.
condenser. And here there is something called compressor. And here, if I'm not mistaken, that is valve, right? What was the name, students? Expansion valve. Expansion valve. Okay, what I will do, I'll just guide you in a more simple manner. Now, for your understanding only. Now, Anushka, have you seen in an AC there is a valve where the air comes out? Have you observed that? If let's assume this is an AC, from where
Mm.
does the air comes out? From the
Yes, sir.
valve. You
Yes, sir.
understand what I'm saying, students?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now observe the logic clearly. It comes from the valve. Now, what happens is, students, outside the house, there will be a small type of, I can say that is the condenser. Because when you switch the AC, students, outside the house, there will be a fan working. Correct, no, students? Yes or no? So that fan does all these work. It connects everything, and then the water, the air is coming back. Thank you. So, students, now coming to the next one. Heat pumps in central heating system. Heat pumps are alternatives to boilers as heat sources for central heating system. A heat pump's evaporator can be located outside of a building. Again, understand the logic, where it captures heat energy during the cold weather. Did you understand this, Anushka? Yes or no? This is evaporator.
Yes, sir.
Are you clear? The
Yes,
valve
sir.
is the thing that releases the gas energy. So condensers and expansion valve are located inside the home, and then with pipes installed through the wall to carry the refrigerant around the system. Some heat pumps can reverse the flow of heat, which means they can be used as a heat during the winter and also cool during the summer. So I can say this is a good investment. What do you think, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
Because this is a hybrid function. And I think this is one better off factor that is, I'm saying, good in the point of heat pumps. That is potentially attractive to consumers in countries that have wide temperature variations between what, students? Seasons. Heat pumps do not need electricity to create heat energy, but they depend on number of electrical components in their operation. This includes compressor, circular pump used to maintain the flow of refrigerant, and fan pumps that helps with the circulation of air, water on the evaporator and the condenser. In cold climate, it may be necessary to use electricity. So again, practically speaking, in the cold, anyway, you will not be able to capture heat energy, no, Anushka, practically speaking. Agree?
Yes, sir.
So you need to use electricity to heat mechanisms located outside to prevent them from icing up. So students, electricity is needed during the cold time. So once again, energy consumption is there. Heat pumps cost less to run than traditional boilers. Cost is less, despite their needs to consume electrical power. So your electricity cost will go up. Typically, heat pumps can deliver 3 kilowatts of heat energy for every kilowatt of electricity consumed. Unfortunately, heat pumps cost more to buy and install. An air source heat pump will roughly 5 times more than an equivalent gas boiler, and a ground source heat pump will be even expensive. So students, if you do not mind, in the product analysis, can I write down heat pumps very expensive? Agree, no, students? Yes or no? In simple language. And
Yes,
how
sir.
many times? 5 times expensive. So I'll write down here 5 times, 5 times, 5 times expensive than boilers. 5 times expensive than boiler. Get this point of view very, very clearly, students. And there is something called ground source heat pump, that is underground. You can also have the heat condenser, ground source heat pump. And also, students, one more thing I forgot to mention is it can accommodate until 20 degrees negative. And also one thing, students, electricity consumption is there. Correct or not correct, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Electricity consumption is there. So Anushka, can I give you an Indian example so that it will be very easy for you to understand?
Yes, sir.
Anushka, have you seen there are 2 types of cookers? One is known as the gas cookers. That
Yes,
means
sir.
you need to have gas in
Gas.
order to cook. The other one is known as induction cooker. Have you heard, Anushka? Induction cooker. Have you heard about that? Anyone? Induction cooker
Yes,
students?
working in electricity.
Working in electricity. So the basic idea is gas cooker and induction cooker only. So this is mostly going with the electricity, and this is going with the gas. So it may have their pros and cons also, but 5 times expensive is a big challenge, students. Big challenge. Students, moving to the next one. Heat pumps capture heat energy from the environment that is supplied by the sun. There is no combustion, so no carbon emission. So that is only possible during the summertime. Correct or not correct, students? Yes or no? Because sun energy you can only take using what time? Summer. Care must be taken in installation, maintenance, and replacement of heat pump to ensure that the refrigerant is not accidentally what? Released, because that is a very poisonous substance. Refrigerants harms the environment by causing global warming if they are allowed to escape into the atmosphere. So students, can I just mention, is that a bigger issue or a threat? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
A bigger threat, because at the end, in case even if the customer by mistake does anything wrong, effectively the blame goes to the company. So can I write down one fact in simple language? Is I can say refrigerants releasing to the market, refrigerant releasing to the environment, causing severe damages, severe environmental damages. Students, I believe that is very clear for the everyone. Environmental damages. Students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you get that clearly, students? Severe
Yes, sir.
environmental damages. And they're saying, however, possible to drain refrigerant from all heat pumps into sealed tanks for reuse and safe disposal. So that must be a policy that needs to be conducted by the organization as well. So students, now moving to the next one, heat pumps can capture energy outside in almost any weather, although they become less efficient in lower temperature, as we already know. In practice, heat pumps can supply central heating system with sufficient heat energy when outside temperatures are low as -15 only. That is rarely a problem in many countries, including Norland, because it is seldom that cold. Now they are telling in Norland until now, they have not experienced anything below -15. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Anushka?
Yes,
Now the
sir.
biggest challenge is climate change. Can there be an experience of a climate change, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
Of course. So can I just write down, students, another classical problem is climate change. So students, I'll write down here another threat, climate change in Nolan. Climate change in Nolan. Students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are clear with that point of view, students? Climate change in the Nolan, because that is very important point of view to keep in mind. Now, students, the next thing is air source heat pumps collect heat energy from the air as it passes over the evaporator. This is simplest type of heat pumps for the use of heating system. I'll tell you how. Anushka, have you seen windmills? Have you seen
Yes,
something
sir.
called windmills? So windmills, what happens? It captures the energy from the air. Correct? No, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
So the same logic only used here. Are you understanding what I'm saying, students?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that clear? The evaporator is enclosed in a housing along with a fan that draws airs into the apparatus device. The condenser and the other components are enclosed in another housing that is inside the house and is connected to the central heating and hot water system. Refrigerants flow between the interior and the exterior housing using pipes that run through the wall. Air source heat pumps have drawbacks of being exposed to variable air temperature. Can you remember I told you air quality issues? Yes or no, students? Because any air quality issues is there, which change with weathers and affect their efficiency. They are also, however, relatively easy to install. The interior working of heat pumps is being installed in place of gas boiler, can be fitted in place of the gas boiler and be removed. So one good thing is removal, shifting from gas boiler to heat pump is not difficult, very easy, same logic. But the biggest problem is how many times it is expensive, Anushka?
5 times.
5 times. Practically, is it possible to go for an investment 5 times
No, sir.
expensive? Practically challenging, unless and otherwise you are very rich.
Yes.
The exterior housing also remains accessible for any repairs in the event of breakdown or leak. Now, students, if it is 5 times expensive, one thing I can write down here is government grant. Students, can there be a situation of a government grant? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So can I write down here, students, government grant? Government grant. Government will say, okay, no problem. Everyone go for heat pumps. We will give you some allocation. So can I write down, students, one opportunity? If in simple language, government grant provided to the general public to move to a better heat energy. Students, are you understanding that point? Government grant also is a possible factor. Excellent. Thank you, students. Ground source heat pumps or alternative air source, those use some principle as air source pumps. So this is the ground source. Again, do you see that oven type of thing is there?
Yes,
But
sir.
it is connected in the ground. These use the same principle as air source pump. Expect the evaporator to be placed underground and submerged in the body of the water. The evaporator then captures the heat energy from the surrounding earth or liquid in the same way as the air source device. The temperature around the evaporator is less severely affected by changing weather conditions. So they are saying it is less affected by changing weather condition, but I have a bigger issue. The issue is, Anushka, can there be soil erosions? Can there be soil erosions, Anushka? Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Fertility of the soil, can that reduce? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Farmers coming and threatening that the soil quality is reducing. Correct, no,
Yes,
students?
sir.
So that is one factor. And the need to bury the evaporator can complicate the installation of a ground source heat pump compared with the air source. And again, if the air source itself is 5 times expensive, ground source definitely will be more than that.
More
right?
yes.
More expensive. The evaporator must be several feet below the ground to capture heat energy efficiently and also protect from damage. Not all home will have a suitable outdoor space to install the evaporator. And can I ask you one question? Is it possible in apartments? I don't think it is possible. Correct, no, Anushka? Flats, apartments,
No, sir.
condominiums, no, right? Ground source heat pumps require the same equipment to be installed inside the house as air source pump. So there is no difference between installation inside the house also. One disadvantage of heat pumps, both air and the ground source, is that they produce hot water that is cooler than the water from what? Boiler. So the biggest challenge is efficiency. Is that efficient, Anushka? No, right? It is not
Okay.
efficient. The water is not so cold, but it is how many times expensive?
5 times.
5 times expensive also. Like the hybrid cars, Anushka, petrol,
Yes.
diesel, and the electric cars, same logic, no, students. They will
Yes.
say you charge once, you can travel for so many times. But if you had used a electric car, you will understand petrol car is more efficient at the end. The difference is roughly 10 degrees. So I think it will be a huge difference. Correct me if I'm wrong, students. Yes, or
Yes,
no?
sir.
10 degrees for air source heat pumps and for little less for ground source. In either case, this means the central heating system based on heat pumps will struggle to raise the room temperature to comfortable level. The problem can be solved by using larger radiators for traditional boiler based system or by installing underflow heating or installing heat pumps. Either option will provide larger surface area to transfer heat. Although the cost of doing so discourage homeowners by replacing their gas boilers with heat pumps, it is easier to install heating system based on heat pumps in new homes because they can build with larger radiators, underflow heating pipes. So again, switching is a very big challenge for the existing people because the heat energy is very low. And also, once again, the cost is also very high comparatively. So students, if you don't mind, can I just write down some weaknesses of the heat pumps so that it will be very, very clear for you.
Yes,
So
sir.
if I'm not mistaken, the biggest weakness is 5 times expensive. Agree, no students, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, sir.
5 times expensive. And the other biggest weakness in simple language is after 5 times expensive, 10 degrees less hot. Agree, no students, yes or no? Then if I, in simple language, more energy consumption. Correct, no students, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
More energy and lack efficiency also. It's lack efficient also. So effectively, students, the case study of electric vehicle and the petrol diesel vehicle. Students, can I quickly get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you understood this very clearly? These are the industry statistics. It's not easy to make a transition. Not easy to make a transition. I'm going to the next one. Alternative heating system. There are alternatives to boilers and heat pumps when powering central heating system. So these are the alternatives. So in the market, we need to know this also. One is the solar thermal panels. I think this is available in India also, Anushka, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
You will
sir.
be seeing in houses, all they will be having
Apartments, yes, sir.
apartments, houses, all this solar thermal panel will be there. Can be used to capture the heat from the sunlight to heat water. Now, the biggest challenge in winter, do you have sunlight? That is the
No,
biggest
sir.
issue because our point of focus is giving the heat in winter, not during the summertime.
Summer.
So the panels contain pipes filled with water. The glasses help to focus the sunlight on the pipes and the water heats up being applied to the hot water. So once again, the source of heat is water or a refrigerant only. So solar panels are simpler and heat pumps, but they rely on sunlight for heat water. No energy can be collected during the darkness and the panel will be less effective when the skies are cloudy. Photovoltaic solar panels use different technology to convert sunlight to electricity. So I'll just write down photovoltaic solar panels. Both type of solar panel requires homeowner to have a suitable location for an array of the panel. They are usually mounted on the rooftop. In the northern hemisphere, it would be ideal if the rooftops was facing south in order to maximize the exposure of sunlight during the day. But the biggest problem that we'll be having is we will not be having an opportunity to use this in Nolan. So I will write down here solar panels can be. So one opportunity is solar panels can be developed for tropical countries like India, everything. Yes or no, Anishka? Makes
Yes,
sense.
sir.
So we can develop a solar panel for tropical countries, and I'll write down here export. Students, we can go for the export opportunity also. That is also one factor to be considered as well. Now the next one is district heat. District heat is a communal heating system that is usually provided by the city government that have access to biomass fuel that can be burned to create heat. Biomass takes variety of forms, including waste of forestry wood, agricultural residues such as wheat stalks, and even household waste. A large biomass boiler heater is pumped to the individual homes in surrounding houses. The district heat system involve combustion, so they cause carbon emission. They are, however, generally more efficient than having a separate heat source individual houses. For this technology tends to be popular in locations that can offer cheap fuel to the nearby sources. So one question that we need to ask is, do we have biomass? Do we have biomass in simple language, students? Because biomass is very, very important. That is, we need to have some energy, which is huge energy. For example, a city with large commercial forestry on the outskirts will be ready to supply combustible materials that would otherwise be dumped. Students, just a minute, I will explain that even more clearly with a diagram. Just give me a minute. Anushka, can you see this diagram?
Yes, sir.
Now this is how district heat layout works out. I'll just guide to you all. Now it can't be applied everywhere unless and otherwise you have biomass. Biomass means you have factories which is giving you energy. Now observe it very clearly. Now if you see the central energy plant, now what happens is they are also burning energy. Correct, no, Anushka? Agree.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Generally the biomass goes like this to the air. The heat, have you seen in India, factories will generate the
Yes,
heat
sir.
energy to the sky,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Instead of sky, the heat is going to come where? Down. You
Down.
understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? And what happens is the houses, they are water, because when you have the drainage system, the water and this heat gets connected and you get the heating system. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
So the biggest challenge in this is, do we have facility? That is one more thing. Students, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box if you understood that? This is mostly possible in countries like United States of America. I'm 100% sure, Priscilla, even in UK, you don't have this. Do you have this UK, Priscilla? This system? I don't think.
I don't think so, no.
I think it is not there. Students understand it very clearly. It's not there. It's there in USA like that only. It's highly possible. So that is one factor, students. I believe this is the district heat. But what I can observe is, Anushka, can there be a government project
Yes, sir.
associated with district heat coming for our company? Of course, right? So
Yes,
can
sir.
I write down here government project
Yes, sir.
for district heat system development? So government means there can be threats of bribery, correct? No, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Self-interest and ethical issues can come. So students understand it very, very clearly how it works out.
Sir,
Yeah.
so in the diagram, the water is flowing like, can you show?
Yeah, it is flowing directly here. The wastewater is going to the factory. You understand what I'm saying? Now, example, Anushka, when we are using water, they're
Yes, sir.
giving us heat. They're giving heat,
Yes,
and
sir.
on return of heat, water goes to their factory. You understand what I'm saying? That means
Oh,
not
okay.
fresh water, not fresh water. The
Okay, sir.
used water, the used water. You understand? The water what we use, the toilet
Okay, sir.
water,
Yes,
the
sir.
used water, all that goes. So what happens is, when the heat is coming through this, the water that is going will get connected and you get the heat into the places. Are you
Oh,
understand?
so they're using the wastewater to heat, sir?
Yeah, wastewater to heat.
Okay, okay,
And
sir.
even the gas that is coming here is a biomass. Biomass,
Yes,
means,
sir.
again, it's a waste only coming.
Waste, yes.
Students, can I get a confirmation from you if you got that idea about the district heat layout? Everyone, students, are you getting this? But understand the basic logic. That is more than enough, students. That is more than enough. Now, students, coming to the next one, so that it will be even easier. So electric heaters, this is popular in North India. You will get in every houses. Even in UK, you may get it everywhere. Electric heaters can be freestanding or wall mounted. In either case, they're connected to the household electricity supply. The flow of electricity through wiring has been high resistance, creates the heat. Electric heaters were popular before central heating became popular. These are the traditional one. They are easy to install in any room. They are also flexible because heaters can be switched on off in different rooms in line with occupants' need. These heaters offer convenience but relatively expensive to operate. I think in Doha, everything, certain people may use electric heaters during the very cold time. So this is something that is there in most of the countries. So students, one more opportunities I can write down: development of electric heaters, development of electric heaters.
Electric.
That is also done. That is also done. Now, students, this is the very, 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 very important conclusion, if I'm not mistaken. global sales of domestic heating technology. So boilers are slowly declining in the popularity of environmental concern of carbon emission. So boilers are day by day reducing. Consumers are, however, often reluctant to switch to heat pump because of cost of doing so. How many times, Anushka? 5 times.
Times.
5 times expensive. Heat pumps cost more than boilers. That is the real challenge. And they usually require significant investment of new radiators, underflow heating again. Consumers often replace old boilers with a newer model, and they are more efficient and more reliable than the existing model also, because 10 degrees higher you can get heat.
Mm.
Demand for boilers is expected to decline more rapidly within the next few years because many government has committed themselves of achieving zero net carbon emissions. So regulations are coming forward to make sure the boilers are slowly taken out from the market. Government will make increasing use of combination of incentives to install heat pumps and legislation to discourage and manufacture and sale of boiler. It is anticipated that this will leave small residual demand for boilers from consumers whose properties are unsuitable for heat pumps, because certain properties are unsuitable. So still this boiler from the mass market, it can end up in a niche market. That is the meaning. You understand what I'm saying, Anushka? That means you
Yes,
can
sir.
have a niche market. That is the idea, because certain houses anyway, they need to use boilers also. That is what
Yes,
they are
sir.
saying. Transition can happen. Electric heaters and solar thermal panels will continue to be used alongside with other heating technologies. Main electricity can be generated from renewable energy sources, which means electric heaters need not cause emissions in what? Operations. So that is one factor they are saying. Now this is the global sales. Now very, very clear. 2015, it's going like this, they are saying. But again, I am having a skeptical issue, Anushka. I'm having a skeptical issue is electric heaters, they are saying it is going to increase. Correct, no, Anushka? This is
Yes,
global.
sir. Yes,
Students
sir.
understand it very, it's not Noland, it is what, students? Global, not Noland. Are you understanding, students?
Global.
Not Noland. This is global. Students understand it very clearly. Now, in the global, if you see, Anushka, solar thermal panels are growing also. Correct, no, Anushka? Do you
Yes,
see?
sir.
Now, the problem is solar thermal panels can be growing in tropical countries also. Agree, no, Anushka, if
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not mistaken. So we can't come to a judgment for Nolan. Students, can I get a confirmation from you? This is not Nolan, this is global. This is global. So that is one factor. And Anushka, you see district heat doesn't move much. Do you observe one thing?
Yes, sir.
District heat doesn't move much.
Much.
The reason is it's very tough, very tough. You need biomass.
Yes,
Correct,
sir.
no, students? Biomass is needed. Excess level of supply of energy is needed. And the heat pump is also growing, you can see. And electric heaters remains the same. They are just mentioning the same proportion.
Yes,
And
sir.
the gas boilers are reducing. But in this depiction, they're showing a slight change is going to the heat pump. My only question is, this is 5 times expensive. Correct, no, Anushka, if
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
mistaken. 5 times
Expensive.
expensive. Now, the next thing is 2020-25. Now, currently we are in 2020, 2020-25. I think this is a very much questionable doubt. You understand? Within 5 years, can there be a mass change without government intervention? Are you getting
No,
what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
So I still have a doubt whether heat pumps people will effectively shift 5 times faster, and district heat is still remaining the same. Electric heater and solar thermal power panels are increasing, but this is global. This is global only, not only our country, global only. And the next one, gas and boilers are effectively going down and heat pumps. So Anushka, if I'm not mistaken, in the global market, can there be more drive more players in the global market? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So can I say that heat pumps can be cheaper in certain region? Yes or no? Due to quality, they may have low quality heat pumps,
Yes,
everything.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
that can also come into the clear picture. But this is the depiction they're having. This is the depiction they're having. But we need to be very much concerned about our country also. Now, students, residential properties, proportions of global revenues by type of heating technology. Now, here, the promotion of renewable energy sources is expected to boost the unit of sale of heat pumps more than the sustainable heat sources, other sustainable heat sources. Solar thermal panels are not suitable for every location, and they are not always capable of meeting the household's entire need for heating hot water. District heat requires a major investment in infrastructure, so it tends to rely on government support, generally in the redeveloped. Now, one thing, Anushka, one of the biggest weakness I can observe is they are restricting our knowledge to 5 technologies only:
Yes,
solar
sir.
thermal, district heat, electric heaters, heat pumps, and gas and boilers. Now, students, my question is, can there be innovations in the market? Possible or not possible, Anushka?
Possible, sir.
Highly possible, right? Students,
Yes,
can you
sir.
please write down innovation unseen? There can be some innovations which is purely mentioned in the unseen material. Can I quickly get a confirmation from you all in the chat box, students? Innovations, unseen material, innovations, unseen material. I believe that gives you a better clarity at the moment. It's clear also. Now, students, coming here, the promotion of renewable energy sources is expected to boost that. I think we went. And now Nolan's residential central heating market. Let's go through this also. I'll come to Hottayr in the next class. I'll just finish the industry analysis today. Nolan has a temperate climate, which is significant variant in temperature from season to season throughout the year. So students, observe it very clearly. This is the climate that is happening. Are you understanding, students? It is going like this, and it's like England. Even their summer is not a summer. It's just like a winter in normal place. Can I get a confirmation from you in the chat box if you are clear with this? So
Yes,
it's a
sir.
temperate country. Solar panel is out. Anyway out. Correct, no, Anushka? Solar
Yes,
panel is
sir.
anyway out. It
Out.
won't be effective. Temperatures vary significantly during the year, with cooler temperature during the hours of darkness and higher temperature during the daylight hours. Winter night time pressures are sometimes below 0 degrees Celsius. So that can also happen. There is also a significant seasonal variation around the average daily temperature. It is not unusual for cold period in winter, when the temperature remains below 0 degrees Celsius for a week or more. Similarly, there can be hot spells during summer when the temperature reaches 30 degrees Celsius. So I can also say heat pump is somewhat good also. What do you think, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But the thing is, we need to have an upgraded heat pump rather than going with the first generation heat pump. You understand? There can be second generation, third generation heat pump. I like the computers develop. Are you understanding what I'm saying, students? The first generation heat pump will be inefficient, but the second, third, and the fourth generation, can there be a development? Of course. Most householders heat their home from mid-autumn until early spring. Heating cost can be a significant part of typical Norlandian family budget. It's a need. What is that, students? It's a
Need.
need. It's a need. Now, students, if people living in the Middle East, they need to understand during the summer, they need AC. Without AC, you can't stay. 50 degrees, you will get grilled. The next one is
Yes.
Nolan government is committed to reduce carbon emission to zero.
Here, can we say that our sales could be seasonal?
No, I will come to that.
Okay,
Sales
sir.
is not seasonal. I'll come
Okay,
to
sir.
that also.
Okay.
Heat pumps are promoted as offering contribution towards meeting the target. it has been estimated that 20% of Nolan carbon emissions are attributed to domestic heating. Okay, 20% is coming from domestic heating, but still for that temperature, it's very hard to go for a big bang change. Correct, no, Anushka? Yes or no? It's only possible with a, I can say, parallel approach. Correct? You need to use it.
I didn't understand, sir.
Big bang means like demonetization. Immediately you ask people to
So
change.
for what, sir?
20% carbon emission here.
Oh, okay, sir.
So you can, the government can immediately tell the household to go, right? You understand
Yes,
what?
sir. Yes, sir.
So it will be a bigger issue. So I cannot say the government can effectively go to zero immediately. What do you think?
Yes, sir. Agree, sir.
I can't agree with the government policy, too optimistic government policy. And also, Anushka, there are always chances, right? Government changes also possible, no, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
So Northland's homeowners collectively spend average of 1.6 billion each year to purchase a central heating system. So the market size is 1.6 billion each year. So students, I'll just write it down here. One very, very important point, market size. So market size is very important for a financial accountant. 1.6 billion. So I'll write down here billion, students. 1.6 billion market. 1.6 billion market. Understand it very clearly. It's a 1.6 billion market. Now, students, coming to the next one. That includes installation of central heating system into new homes that are replacement and deems unsafe, unreliable, and insufficient. So all the cost also there. So these are the costs. Replacement of existing system. That means you already have a heating system and you are going to replace that heating system. Gas boilers can become unreliable over time, leaving homes without heating when the components fail. Older designs are less efficient than the current model, meaning they use more gas in order to maintain comfortable temperature. At present, most homeowners replace defective gas boilers with newer models but keep their existing radiators. Demand for heat pumps is growing slowly in the market because the pumps therefore themselves are more expensive than the gas boilers, and they are likely to be further cost due to need to upgraded radiators also. So demand is always slow. Correct, no, Anushka? Yes,
yes, sir.
So that pie chart they gave is wrong, right, Anushka? Do you think within 5 years there can be a huge shift? I doubt.
No, sir.
So students, this is one way happens, replacement. And the other one, newly built house. House builders often install heat pumps in new build house because they are attractive selling feature to the potential buyer. The additional cost is not significant factor in relation to the cost of a new house. Radiators, underflow heating pipes can be installed during the construction, about the same cost as for the traditional gas boiler. So students, new build house, existing building repair. So these are the two major points that is happening in the market. So I'll just write that down also. So how does the people spend? One is replacement, correct?
Yes, sir.
They spend on replacement of their existing gas boilers. And the other one in simple language is very simple, newly built house. Newly built house. Newly built house. Now, students, just to make sure, industry data analysis is over. Now, I want to come to Hottayr. I'll do it in the Friday class. Okay, Anushka? Because,
yes,
or else we will do it till tomorrow morning. So, students, I just want to ask questions. Are you fine with the industry statistics we have? It's a very, very, very technical, scientific based industry, and you need to understand the concepts and ideas very, very clearly, students, which is very, very important. So I'll just show this product decoding, gas boilers, wood burning stove, and then we went with the heat pumps, Okay, if I'm not mistaken, evaporator, compressor, condenser, and the valve. And then students, if you observe, 5 times expensive than boiler, and the heat is less at the moment, and the district heating system, it's for government proposals, everything, and then the market and the general electric heaters we have. So these are the major products we have in our market. But I believe everyone has got a clarity now to think as a finance manager. Correct, students? Yes or no?
Yes,
And
sir.
the price is the biggest challenge for the consumer to change from gas boiler to the other one. So that is one bigger factor. Just to make sure Anushka's doubt, you are asking about seasonal demand, right, Anushka, if
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
mistaken?
Yes, sir.
So one thing is, Anushka, I'll just being very transparent here. They are saying hot gas boilers last for how many years?
15 years, sir.
15 years to 12 years. So is it season or it is a capex? It's a capex, right, Anushka?
Yes,
You
sir.
understand what I'm saying? Like lift, if you're going to buy a lift, there is no
Yes, sir.
seasonal demand for a lift, no? 10
Yes,
years,
sir.
15 years, it will
Yes,
go.
yes.
So the problem is very different when we do the other class, but you need to understand we don't have seasonal. Once a customer buys, he will again buy it after how many years?
15 years.
10 to 15 years.
15 years, yes.
Now my question is, in this sector, this pie chart is wrong, no, Anushka, if you observe. How
Yes,
can
sir.
effectively people throw away a product which can be used for 15 years unless and otherwise a government come and interfere? Are you understanding, students, the
Yes.
logical idea here, students? How can this happen? Can I ask you a very open question, Anushka, if you don't
Yes,
mind?
sir.
You have a car, you have a Toyota Corolla car. Okay, you
Yes,
can
sir.
use it for 30 years or 40 years, or you can pass it to the next generation. The problem arises is they are saying Tesla has introduced electric cars. Will you effectively throw away your car and go for electric car immediately? I'm going
No,
to
sir.
save the planet. I'm going to save the planet. I am going to be a good human being like that. No one will
No,
do that.
sir.
So students, get that clarity very, very clearly. Get that clarity very, very clearly. And our country is a country which has heat and the cold, but we can experience climate change anytime. We can experience climate change anytime. So students, any questions for the day? I'll just ask from you
I
all.
have a question, sir.
Yeah. Yes,
Two
Priscilla.
questions. So
Yes, Priscilla.
the first question is pertaining to why the heat pumps are expensive. Is it because of durability and in terms of because we're buying it after 15 years primarily because obviously they're saying customers buy it after 15 years or get replacements.
Because of refrigerants, Priscilla. Refrigerants are very, very expensive. Very, very, very expensive.
Okay.
Because if you observe, Priscilla, gas boilers doesn't have refrigerants. They generally have petrol, gas, something like that. And Priscilla, you do a small analysis and see refrigerators are very expensive in your house. Have you observed that, Priscilla?
Yes, sir.
Refrigerators are extremely expensive. And if you observe, Priscilla, these items are very cheap. I'll just tell you, television is cheaper than a refrigerator. Correct, no, Priscilla?
That's
The
correct.
main reason refrigerators are expensive is the refrigerants that they use is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive.
Okay. And my second question is based on the chart, which had people moving towards heat pumps. So you did say that yeah, it doesn't look realistic. However, globally, for example, in the UK, the government are giving like subsidies and grants to people to buy new homes, and builders are using these these heat pumps for the new build homes. So there's an influx of like a lot of people now being able to afford new homes. And I think that's the initiative that the government is going to. So I can see where there'll be a shift in terms of the demand for heat pumps in parts like UK. So could that be applicable to like maybe not Northland, but then to like the global context?
It depends on the government policy and the stability of the government, in simple language. Because Priscilla, if you ask from certain people living in Ireland, it's also a part of the UK, right?
Yes.
And if you speak to people living in Scotland, or if you speak to people living in Wales, they are not having the same type of privilege what the people in
The UK.
England is having.
England,
Correct
yeah.
me if I'm wrong, Priscilla.
That's right. That's right.
So your judgment is wrong because the entire UK is not experiencing it. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Priscilla?
that's true.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you, sir.
Third question. Okay, I think she's done. So I will go to the next person. Anushka, any questions for the day?
No, sir.
Thank you. Jebal, any questions for the day?
No, sir.
Thank you. Reshma, any questions for the day?
No, sir. Thank you, sir, for the explanation.
Thank you. Shruti, any questions?
No, sir, it was very clear. Thanks for the detailed explanation.
Thank you. Keitheswaran, any questions for the day? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
So see you.
Thank
Good
you, sir.
night, everyone. Good night, everyone.
Sir,
Good
next
night,
class.
sir.
Hello.
Yes, Jebal.
Sir, next class when it will be? Friday
Next
or
class,
tomorrow?
Friday.
Friday, the same time.
Same time.
Okay.
Thank you very
Okay,
much,
sir.
sir. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
See you
Okay.
Friday.
Bye.